Hi. Good. Looks like everyone's rolling in. Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are. Uh, my name is Brian Dar. I am a solutions architect here at Expium. I'm also a SAFe program consultant and an Atlassian certified expert with Atlassian. So first of all, thank you very much for joining today. I really hope you find this webinar to be of value, worthy of your time, and full of helpful information that you can take back to your team. Let's get started. The way that work gets done has changed a lot recently, not just because of COVID, although COVID obviously kicked off a really great revolution in remote collaboration and team working. But a few of the things that have changed that have made life a little bit harder and a little more difficult if you're not operating in a digital world with your teams are things like you can't just walk to the next cube anymore. You can't gather around a manual bulletin board or a coffee machine to do planning. A lot of people have extra processes and checklists in place, particularly because of COVID, particularly if you're in HR. Somehow there are more meetings than ever before because everything's online, and because we're not bumping into each other in the hallways, we have to schedule interactive time together, and everything keeps changing faster and faster. I know that a lot of people feel like we're out of COVID, and so things feel a little more normal for a lot of people, depending on where you are. Doesn't matter, that's okay. But I think that the need for digital collaborative tools is becoming more and more obvious. So today, I'd like to show you tools and processes that will hopefully make your work and maybe your personal life easier by making work visible, having clear next steps in processes, making work collaborative across you and your teammates and also your bosses, making tools flexible enough to modify processes as quickly as your environment and your needs change. And all of this remotely, no matter what team you work for or where you work. So today, we are specifically going to finish up this introduction really quick, and then we're going to hop into some quick principles of Agile, because that'll help you understand sort of the foundation of where these tools are coming from. And then we're going to go through 5 different examples of how to use these tools in your teams using these tools. All right, oops, not back, forward. All right, so let's talk about Agile really quick. Agile is a buzzword that has been around since the year 2000. It started in software, and now it's sort of leaking out into all other types of teams and businesses. But unfortunately, confusion remains. So what's really important is just the basics. An Agile mindset is not about doing more work in less time. It is about generating more value with less work. So if you think about like outcome versus output, Agile also responds to a central challenge of business. How do we provide quick, continuous value at scale? And no matter what team you're at, this is important. Maybe you're facing external customers, in which case, yeah, there's a bottom line repercussion for being Agile. But maybe you're also internal as well, like your HR or your marketing, and you're providing services to other teams in your company. Or let's say legal, for example. Being Agile, providing more value with less work benefits everybody anyway. So it's not just helpful, it's a good idea. And Agile is a very important competitive advantage. You're probably already on your way to being Agile, but if you are more responsive to your customers, both internal and external. If you're HR, you're more responsive to new hires and employees. You're more responsive to regulations, to market changes, etc. If you're more Agile, you build quality into your process, and therefore you have less errors being deployed. You have better software releases. You have better customer satisfaction. And you can also deliver value faster, so speed. You wind up shortening the time between need and delivery, and this shorter time makes for better feedback cycles so that you're not delivering things that nobody wants. Instead, you're delivering a little bit, discovering that that's not what I wanted at all, and then you're pivoting very, very quickly to keep up with what your customers need. So yeah, incremental value, all that fun stuff. Another thing to think about is that Agile companies create small, self-organizing, cross-functional teams that are designed to continuously deliver value to new customers. So if you think about your business team, you are probably cross-functional, hopefully you have enough people on your team to get all the things done that you need to get done. Hopefully you and your company are also obsessed with delivering value to customers, not just filling out TPS reports and checking boxes, but actually delivering real value to internal and external customers. Lastly, agile companies are also constructed as a transparent network of individuals who collaborate towards a common goal of delighting customers. So we've got the traditional HR hierarchy because we need line management and we need reporting and stuff like that. But agile companies also understand that that hierarchy lives in harmony with sort of a orthogonal network of people that get stuff done, that are part of the value streams of that company. If you feel like all this is foreign and crazy, no problem. The tools that we're going to show today also work for more traditional organizations. But they were born out of this new agile mindset. And something that's nice about getting new tools or figuring out ways to use tools that you already have in a more effective way is that the tools and process kind of go together. And so without a process, the tool means nothing. And without a tool, the process can fall apart. But implementing these tools is a great way to slowly change the process too. And I think you'll see the advantage as we go forward. So what tools are we talking about? Well, there's a company called Atlassian, and XBM, my company, is a platinum solution partner with Atlassian. And so the tools that we're going to talk about today are Atlassian tools. So Atlassian tools are ubiquitous. They are likely in your organization already, large or small, particularly if your organization has some sort of IT or software development department. We often work with business teams who are ready to purchase these tools, and then they are surprised to learn that their company already has them. And from there, all you need to do is find your company's administrator and then learn how to tweak the tools for your business team's needs. But if you don't have them, these tools are inexpensive and very simple to get started with. You don't need to go to your VP of procurement to get these tools. All you need is a credit card or a partner like us, and we can work through licensing and discounts and stuff like that. So what are these tools? Well, specifically, we're looking at a bunch of them right here: Jira Software, Confluence, Jira Align, Trello, Bitbucket, Jira Service Management. If you've heard of these already, I apologize for the next 30 seconds. This will be kind of boring, but let me explain each of these tools really quickly. Jira Software is a task tracking tool designed for teams, and it allows teams to do knowledge sharing, design collaboratively, track work to completion, and also effortlessly report up to their bosses, stakeholders, CEO, whatever, without needing to go out of their way to do reporting. Confluence is a wiki-style documentation tool that connects really well to Jira Software. And Confluence can show data from Jira Software. Jira Software can reference Confluence documents. And this is a way for your teams to document centrally and provide knowledge portals for what you're working on. We're going to focus really heavily today on these two tools, but there are some other ones too. Jira Align is a very large program that is designed for agile at scale companies. It basically connects thousands of software developers all the way up to the C-suite strategy. We have other webinars on that if you're interested. Trello is a free and also a premium product, depending on the tier you're using, that allows teams to collaborate very simply on basically digital whiteboards. Bitbucket is a software tool for code repositories, and a Jira Service Management is a service desk tool. We're going to look a little bit at JSM and also Trello today as well. It's important to note that there are more tools, but these are the big ones that we'll be talking about today. There's also not, these aren't specific modules in a service. The whole thing is a framework in which you can build exactly what you want for your team. So it's a little bit of a different model than, like, let's say Salesforce. You can buy any one of these standalone. They work just fine. You can purchase another one. They work together, but yeah. It's also important to note that these tools are not necessarily a replacement for systems that you already have, such as an HRIS. If you're in HR. Rather, they help fill in the gaps where your tools are already missing. And you can also integrate these with those big tools, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And if you don't have process tools already for your teams, these are a great foundation to start with. All right, that was a lot of rambling. So let's talk about practical examples. Today, we're going to look at project management, where we're going to see managing multiple projects and watching completion to delivery on those projects. We're going to look at hiring and onboarding and how to streamline that through workflows and automated task creation and automated reporting. We're going to look at service desks. That may seem like a strange one. I think a lot of teams don't feel like they are service teams, but if you think about it, particularly in a larger enterprise, all departments are really service departments. Facilities provides internal services, legal provides internal services, marketing provides internal services. And having a service desk as a central point of intake and organization really makes that a whole lot easier for everyone involved, both the internal customer and the internal deliverer. We're also going to look at documentation and information centralization solutions. That's specifically Confluence. We're going to show how to make knowledge portals, stuff like that. And lastly, and actually firstly, this isn't the wrong point in the bulleted list, sorry. We're going to look at simple task management. So how can any team manage their tasks using these tools? All right, let's dive right in. Task management. Who is this demo for? Well, it's for everyone. Hopefully most of these demos are. The problem that teams often have is, what are we working on? What do we have to do next? Is everything up to date? And who is taking care of what? So the solution is a central task management tool with multiple views to show you what you need to see. And I'm talking like calendar views, roadmap views, list views, stuff like that. And the tool that we're going to start with is Jira Work Management. And specifically, this tool is available as software as a service. It is not available for on-prem yet. So let me hop over to the example. All right, so here I am. I have landed in Jira, and Jira is this task tracking tool. It can be used by multiple teams, and specifically, I'm looking at a project, which is just a box, which was designed for my for my company's accounting team. So my accounting team can put all of their work into this one project, or we could make a separate box for each of my accounting team's projects, either way. And the first thing that we're seeing here is a list view of all of the tasks that my accounting team has to do. And this will scroll up and down. We only have so many items on here. And what we see here is that we're working with a task. It's got a specific unique identifier. The task has a summary that we can edit in line. Task also has a status, and this status is one of the first examples of deep customization within Jira. My Jira administrator can design a very unique workflow for this team. It could be as simple as to do in progress done, or it could be 20 steps long, depending on the work that we're doing. And that can change per type of work as well. Maybe I have different steps when I do documents than I do versus tasks, versus a claim or whatever else. We can assign tasks in line here. We can set a due date for that task, a priority. We can label it in a certain way to make it easier to report on. And then we see data about who created it, who updated it, who's the reporter. But that's not the only stuff we can show. We can also add a number of other fields that are available in the database to increase our context about this. And we can also filter about our tasks as well. So show me everything that's done, show me everything due this week, show me what's assigned to me, or we can build out more filters as well. This is just one view of the whole pile of tasks that this team has to do. I can also specifically click into a given task, and I can see far more detail and context about that task. So here, I can do things like add attachments. I can make subtasks. So let's say that the task started out too big. I can break it down into smaller pieces of work. I can link this task to documentation, to web pages. I can link it to other tasks. And then I can also do things relating to timesheets and additional intake forms over here. I can add a description. I can have a full conversation around this task. I can see all of the change history around this task, which is very important for, let's say, compliance purposes. And then over here, I've got far more details. Again, I've got the assignee, reporter, due date, and then many other fields available down here as well. So lots of stuff going on here. The last interesting thing about this that I want to point out is that as a user, I can choose to watch this task if this task is particularly important to me. And if that's the case, anytime somebody updates this task, I will get an email. This is helpful if you have a really important item that you want to make sure you know when it gets done. All right, so that's just one view for all of the tasks for my accounting department. The next view is what's called a Kanban board. And if you haven't seen one of these before, I love these. This is like a digital whiteboard, and with a bunch of stickies on it. And what's really nice about this board is that all of those same tasks that I saw back in my list are now shown in their appropriate statuses in columns. So a different view. But what's nice about this is I can get an overall view of my work process, and I can see how far along things are. And so in this situation, I see that I've got a fair amount of stuff in progress. I've got a fair amount of stuff in to do. We're currently getting feedback on a lot. We're currently getting approval. And depending on your work principles, there's a lot of agile principles that show that limiting your work in process and keeping it short actually speeds up the overall time that everything gets done. And so limiting your work in process here can help get your team faster and leaner. And then you see more things flowing. Your bosses are happier because they see things flowing on a project or whatever you're working on. And then I can also drag things from status to status here. So this is the same action as coming back to my list and just updating the status inline up here. But I get this much more helpful view of overall where we are on a project. I love this view. I think everybody should use it. All right, another really helpful view is the calendar view. So here I can see, again, all of the same tasks, but this time with their respective start and end dates across a calendar view. And then I can click into any one. I can get back to the same view here. And then I can also move them if I want to. Actually, not in this view, but yeah. If I need to move them, I can just click in, change a date. It updates on the calendar. And then I can also filter just like I could on those other views as well. The last really helpful view that I like is a timeline. This is more like a roadmap view. So rather than seeing stuff on a calendar, we can see, again, exactly the same work now pulled out in a roadmap view. This is the one where I can drag, drop, and edit. I can move things around if I need to update that. And we can see how we're going to deliver. And we can change the view between weeks and months and quarters. We can also filter down on work and add more filters, etc. Jira also provides a couple of other nice things. It'll provide a custom intake form for your team. So let's say that you're tired of getting work via email or people darkening your doorways or by chat. You can instead send a link to this intake form, and then people can fill that stuff out, and then you can triage that as it comes in. There's a couple more things going on here too. The only one that I'm really going to mention is the reports. So all of my work, I can get some basic statistical reporting off of it. One of my favorites is actually three of my favorites. Wow. Average age report. This shows me how old on average all of my work is. And I can refine this to not show my backlog if I want to, but I can basically see, are we speeding up getting work done or are we slowing down getting work done? Created versus resolved is also a great report because this shows you how much work you're making versus how much work you're getting done. And if you see that delta spreading wider and wider, you know that you need to either stop taking in so much work, or you need to hire more people, or you need to reset expectations with your stakeholders. Lastly is the pie chart report. You can pick any of those fields, particularly mutually exclusive fields, and you can see where we are on our work. So one of the common reports is workload by assignee, or issues by due date, or issues by a certain category. And then you can, basically report to your stakeholders, look, we're doing a whole lot of this work right now. That other work that you're hoping for is probably not going to get done as quickly. So again, all of this in service of getting your work done. And this is all in the cloud, software as a service. So your teams don't have to be in person together. And your bosses, most importantly, they don't have to come and ask you where things are. They can just come in here and check out the calendar and say, oh yeah, that thing's going to be done on this particular day. Or they can come to the timeline, to the roadmap, and they can see which quarter we're going to deliver in. So this really bridges the need between transparency, between autonomy of workers and transparency to management. So that's the first example. I'm a big fan of it. I hope you are too. All right, moving back to the slides, we'll hit the next thing. All right, let's talk about project management. So that was task management. That's throwing all of our tasks in a bucket and then organizing them and getting them done. But a lot of teams work on projects. And so this example is useful for PMO teams, HR teams, marketing teams, any team that does a lot of project management. And what happens when we do project management? Well, typically we have misalignment, we have delayed handoffs, we have manual status reports, we have a lot of missing information. 2020 broke a lot of projects along with everything else. So the solution is kind of like task tracking. It is to make work visible and to automate reporting. And this time we're going to use Jira and Confluence to show this off. So let me hop over here to my next example. All right, so I'm looking at another Kanban board, but this time all of the cards on this board represent actual projects. And so, for example, I've got Project Alpha that I'm working on, Project Beta, Project Epsilon, and we can see that we've got a funnel, to do, in progress, on hold, and done for our major projects. And if I click into one of these examples, like let's look at Project Alpha. So here, because this is like a bucket for all of my work in Project Alpha, this is actually a level up in the task hierarchy. This is called an epic in Jira. Sometimes it's called a feature in various software, or you could call it a project if you want to. But this is a container for a whole bunch of tasks for one specific project. And on this container, I've got a lot of metadata about the project. I've got the project background, the business objectives, the scope, project assumptions. And then if I zoom down here, I see a list of tasks that are in that project that have to get done. And I have this nice progress bar showing me how much of my known work is complete. I can see the status of those tasks here, and I can also update each task if I need to inline. And then over here, I've got more information. I've got project size, I've got the project sponsor, the project stakeholders, the target start, target end date for that project, which means I can show this project on a roadmap, which we'll do in a minute. Project due date, which could be different than the target end, and then project name and any automation that I'm running on this project. The last thing we see down here is that this project is mentioned in our documentation on multiple pages over in our documentation tool, Confluence. And we're going to hop over there next and look at that. Again, just like any old Kanban board, I can drag work across to update project information. But let me hop over into Confluence instead. So I'm going to click on the, oops, it's not showing this time. Well, let's come over here. This is now a new tool. This is called Confluence, separate subscription. But Confluence and Jira interact very, very well with each other. And here I've got a page in Confluence, and this page is dedicated to everything about Project Alpha. So everything that you just saw back here, I'm sorry, Project Alpha, there it is. That's what I'm looking for. I can get to it here, same link. Everything you see here is also represented now in this overall project report in a much cleaner, easier to read documentation standpoint. And this is the page that I would point my stakeholders to in my company. And the first thing we see here is I have added to this documentation page, I've added a project calendar, and this can pull in lots of different calendars. It can pull in any iCal, Google Calendar, ICS file, stuff like that. And so here we see team member vacations, and we see company events, and we see holidays, things like that. So that we can get an overall view of the time context of our project. Then here I am pulling in the data that we saw a moment ago over in Jira. I've got the target start, I've got the target end, I've got the status, I've got the project size, the sponsor, the due date. All of that information is living here on this project page as well. And then manually, I am putting in my subjective status report up here at the top. Is the overall status on track? What's the resource status like? What's the budget status like? What's the schedule like? Scrolling down, I am now pulling in reports from Jira where all of my project work is being done. I'm now pulling in statistical reports to show in this project report. So I've got progress of all of my tasks. I've got a pie chart. I've got a list of all of the completed work. And then down here, I've got all of those project details that we saw before, again, being reflected on this project report: background, business objectives, scope, assumption, etc. Lastly, I can add attachments to this, and I can show design specs for this project as well. So we've got two different PDF design specs, and that's all just for one project. So here I can have multiple project pages living in here that I can again point all of my stakeholders to, and all of that is being live updated from Jira as work is getting done. So an individual team member, they may move marketing 5, task number 3, whatever, they may move that to done, and that's going to update immediately over here. I'm going to see my pie chart update. I'm going to see my progress bars update, all of that. All right, so that's one view. Now, what if I'm managing multiple projects? For the calendar and Confluence, sorry, I just saw a question come in. Is syncing with Google Calendar, is that a two-way sync? I don't believe so. I think that Google Calendar is the source of truth for that. However, there is a Google Calendar add-on for this product that would do that. There's basically multiple ways to show calendars on these pages. So depending on the add-on you use, yes, there could be a two-way sync. This one specifically, I believe, is not. But I'm not actually sure about that. So hopefully one of my colleagues watching can let me know. Yeah. All right. Thanks for the question. All right, so moving on. So what if I'm managing multiple projects? Well, then I can zoom out into a project dashboard. Oh, by the way, about that calendar question, if you send me an email, and I'll put my email at the end, I will find that out for you and email you back at the end of the webinar. Project dashboard. So now I'm taking all 5 of my projects and I'm rolling them all up into one central view that my manager of managers could look at. So here I see project alpha, beta, delta, epsilon, gamma, all viewed in one place. I can see all of the key information here in line. And right now I get a very great color visual of where we are. So maybe the only ones that I really have to focus on are alpha and beta, because I've got a couple of potentially off tracks and an off track, and the rest I can just ignore. We also have something that I'm going to show off later. This is a roadmap feature in Jira that we haven't quite looked at yet. And this has all of my marketing issues laid out in a roadmap. I can expand each of them and see all of the work to be done underneath. I can see if that work is done yet or not. So between these two views, I get a really good example of where all of my projects are at once. I'm going to stop for a question here. For the project page in Confluence, if the narrative is updated, and I love that you call it a narrative, if the narrative is updated weekly, can reader go back and easily see older narratives or other parts of the report? Yeah. I might as well answer this now. Yeah, there's a whole history of these pages as well, showing anytime somebody updated. You can see that we've updated this example a lot, and you can put update notes in here. Let me show you another example of a project management tool that we use specifically. Whenever we do engagements with clients, we actually start a project dashboard that looks like this. So this is an example of, like, let's say that we're working with you, we are training your team, we're implementing Jira and Confluence, something like that. We would create some sort of Confluence space like this, where we would have an engagement dashboard, meeting notes, solution documentation, so like apps that we built, integrations, Jira configuration. Or if we're doing like an agile transformation engagement, we would keep playbooks down here for like agile team roles, agile ceremonies, team toolbox tools, stuff like that. And then we would be tracking tasks in Jira, reporting on them over here in Confluence, like you see here. So what's the project status? What are the highlights for this reporting cycle? What are the current challenges? What did we get done? What's in progress? What's next? What's the roadmap coming up? And then we can even break down deliverable categories. So like, somebody wanted an assessment, and then they wanted tooling built, and then they wanted training, and we can see all of the tasks towards those getting accomplished. So it's sort of like a master report. One of my favorite things though is that because all of this is live out of Jira, there isn't necessarily that one point in time thing. So what I use is and it's not installed on this computer, but there's a browser add-on that's called Go Full Page, and it will take a full page screenshot of this, and then I turn around and take that screenshot attachment, upload it back to the page, and then it shows up here as a list of status reports reloaded there. So that makes, like, I build the dashboard once, and then my reporting after that is lightning quick. It takes 30 seconds at the end of every week to write down a status, write down some challenges, and then take a screenshot. And then typically I would email it to the stakeholders, but I would put a link right back into Confluence to get them used to using Confluence, because why not use the tools that you're also implementing to do the implementation? All right, so that's a couple of examples. I'm going to stop for, so let's see. Next, we're going to look at onboarding, and we're going to look at knowledge management, and we're going to look at service desks. But first, I'm going to talk for just a moment about us as a company. So we are what's called a Platinum Solution Partner, and that's the highest tier of solution partner you can get with Atlassian. We have to jump through a lot of hoops for that, and have a lot of certifications and proof of stake, stuff like that. So what do we do as a company? We really specialize in 3 different things. We do training, so free webinars like this. We also do paid classes. We do a lot of user training on all of the Atlassian products. We do administrative training. We run something called Jira Bootcamp and Confluence Bootcamp. We also do advanced roadmap training, stuff like that. We also do consulting, so implementations, migrations, customizations, all of those Asian activities. We do all of those. And then we also have a sister company called Oasis Digital that is a custom software development company. And we all work in the same offices, or at least we used to when we were in the same offices before COVID. And so we have access to world-class developers that if there's not a solution in the tool and it's not in the marketplace, we can build it for you. And then the kinds of things we do: scaled agile, ITSM, DevOps, project management, agile transformations, all that fun stuff. All right, so on to our next example. Hiring and onboarding. So a lot of people need to hire and onboard, and a lot of times all of that information is scattered across multiple systems. And this really applies to HR, but I think it applies to a lot of departments too, because it's not just company onboarding, it's also department onboarding. So the problem is that teams all need unique processes that scale, update easily, and processes change over time. Processes often have unclear next steps. So the solution is to create custom onboarding workflows that have data validation, automated task creation, and guardrails, particularly depending on the industry you're in, to make sure that you're staying within compliance. And specifically, we're going to use Jira for this one. So I'm going to show you an example of something that we built for a very large healthcare industry client. They had to onboard thousands of insurance agents every year, and they had to maintain compliance. Task A couldn't start before task B was done, and they had to be licensed in certain states before they could be trained on other stuff. So this is an example of a board showing a bunch of people currently being onboarded. Instead of tasks, now we're looking at cards representing people. or really representing the onboarding of people. So here I've got Florence. She's in training right now. I can click in and I can see information about Florence. I could see her name, her address, her telephone number. All that stuff could be in this ticket if I wanted it to be. And then very specifically, there is a workflow that Florence is following. And this is a pretty simple workflow, but unlike the workflow that we were using on our tasks, this is a very strict workflow. Things have to happen in order before the next thing can happen. So in this situation, onboarding somebody as an agent, they get recruited, they get scheduled for training, they go through training. If they pass training, they go through peer mentoring, and then they're good to go. Then they're ready to take on the phones as a tier 1 agent. Now, at any time, they may be terminated, so that's possible. And also, early in the process, they may withdraw while they're recruited or scheduled, or they may be a no-show once they're scheduled, in which case that's a terminal status too. And the workflow also allows for mistakes. So let's say we accidentally term someone in the workflow, we can just reopen it here too. But everything that happens to that onboarding card gets tracked for compliance purposes. Now, this was a simple workflow. Something to note too, that in order to activate this terminated transition, we actually have a different HR project that has a termination request that's part of a service desk. And that request has to get approved first by the person's department manager, then it's approved by HR, and then there's some tasks that have to get done. Once all of that happens, that termination request comes in and automatically activates this terminated status. And this is nice because at any point in the process, they can get yanked out of that and dropped into terminated. I mean, not nice for that person, but good for the company. All right, so that's tier 1. They also have tier 2 agents. So let me hop over and show that board. This is a much more complex workflow. This is the group of agents that have to get certified in various states. So their workflow looks like this. They get recruited, they get scheduled. After that, they have to do testing to be an agent within the state. They have to do multiple tests. Sometimes they have to retest. Then they pass. Then they are officially certified. Then they go through advanced training. Then they go through peer mentoring. Then they're good to go. And at any point in this process, maybe they already hold a valid license. Well, we can jump over the licensing phase. And maybe they've already worked for us, so they've already been through the advanced training. They just need to go to peer mentoring. No problem. We jump over that too. Now, something else that's really cool about this workflow is it's pretty easy to update. As a Jira administrator, moving these statuses around, adding a new transition here and there, no problem. It's very quick. The other important thing to know about this workflow is there's lots of hidden validation happening in the background. I like to think of Jira as people do work while something is in a status. Jira does work as it's moving between statuses. So like, for example, between passed and certified, there's a lot of validation that makes sure that certain fields are filled out to make sure that the person does have a certification, that the state for that certification is filled out, etc. There's also a lot of cool task automation happening in here as well. When they hit certified, a bunch of downstream tasks are created in the IT department to set up a phone line, set up a laptop, set up an email account. And all of those downstream tasks, if this person moves into terminated, all of those downstream tasks are also fished out and removed from those downstream teams' inboxes, which also really helped. I mean, this was so much fun to build. I really enjoyed this project. Lastly, there's also external systems getting updated. So like once they hit good to go, this transition actually reaches out via a webhook and updates on HRIS to notify about where that person is in their journey. So yeah, onboarding. This is super cool stuff. I got a question. Can projects have their own admins with permissions limited to just their projects, or once you're an admin, you can change all projects? In this tool in Jira, there are different tiers of administration. So there's an overall Jira admin that controls all the projects. And then there's also a project admin that can control some things in their project. Depending on the project, an admin can control fields and workflows, certainly project membership. But in the case of this particular workflow, this workflow is complex enough that its modification is reserved at a Jira administrator level, at the top level. All right, so that's onboarding. You can also do onboarding through a service desk. We're going to look at service desks next. But yeah, if you have any more questions about this, send me an email. I'm happy to talk about this all day long. This is a great project. All right, so the next example, service desks. So like I mentioned before, HR, marketing, facilities, legal, all of those teams are service teams, really effectually within your organization. Like I may send a contract to legal for review. And the problem is teams often have no clear prioritization. They have multiple channels of intake. They have no visibility into the process for the requester. So like maybe I request something and I don't see a ticket telling me where it is, and then I'm emailing you, or I'm emailing your boss and saying, where's my contract? That's not fun for anybody. It's not fun for me. It's not fun for the legal team. So the solution is a service desk with clear intake forms, prioritized queues, automatic updates being sent back to the requester. Hey, we got your thing. Hey, it's in progress. Hey, it's done. And then also self-help knowledge articles to even head off some of those questions and some of those needs ahead of time. That's called shift left in the service industry, where basically you allow for self-service for your teams. So this involves Jira and Confluence. Let's hop over, and specifically Jira Service Management and Confluence. So here I see a very different view of Jira. This is a help center that would be visible to internal employees. We can also open up certain help desks to external people as well. But in this situation, this is an unpaid user's view coming into Jira. I've already authenticated through my company's Active Directory, and now I can see that there are 3 different service desks. This is like the front door to Jira. Everything we saw before is like the back door. So I see that there's an IT service desk. I could come in here and I could do things like I could report that I need a new laptop. I could get IT help. I could report broken hardware, stuff like that. I also have an HR service desk and a facilities service desk. So let's hop into the HR service desk. And right away, I am served up with FAQs and policies. So maybe I want to look up some of these. Maybe I've got a question about home office equipment or employee exits or new hires or personal information change requests. But maybe I don't have questions about that, and I just want to submit a ticket. No problem. I click raise request, and then I'm shown all of the options that the HR service desk provides me. So in this situation, request work from home equipment, onboard an employee, offboard an employee, change request, and questions for HR. I'm going to do a name change request. So here, I am served up a custom form that the HR project manager can customize, because of course, as an administrator, I really want to push customization as far downstream as I can to the people closest to the work, because they know what really needs to get done. So in this situation, I've got a custom form. What information needs to be changed? I need to change my last name. And provide the, oh, hey, look, a knowledge base article was just served up automatically, specifically because I used the word change in this request. So in this case, it is saying, hey, I've got an article about personal information change requests. Do you want to read it? Yeah, sure. So I click on that. It opens in a new tab. It gives me all the information I need to know about a change request. I can say if this article helped or not, and then I can move on to submit a request if I want. So I'm going to come back to my form. I'm going to say, yeah, just got married. New last name is Smith. And then down here, I see, please attach relevant documents. I'm going to attach like my new marriage license or something like that, attach that to there, and submit. Great. Well, now I see a customer view of my ticket. So I can see this information. I can communicate with the help desk. Hello, how long will this take? Now, as a help desk employee, if a lot of people are asking how long it will take, I'll start putting that information in my articles. And over here, I can see the status. I can see that I'm going to be notified about this as it moves through its workflow. I can see information. I can share this with my manager or with other people in my company. So again, I've got that beautiful transparency. I don't even have to come back to this portal because I'm going to get email updates from now on as things are updated as well. And the HR workers, they don't have to go tell me. They just need to move stuff through the workflow and I'll get automatically updated. Now, as an end user, I can come and see all of my requests because I demo a lot. I've got 31 open requests. It's kind of crazy, but I can see ones that are created by me, including my most recent one. I need to change my name. And I can also look at open and closed requests, stuff like that. Now, on the back end, if I put on my HR person hat, I can see all of this information back here, and I can see, description. I can see who it's assigned to. I can see how many related knowledge base articles there are. I can respond to the customer. I can also respond internally, and I can move things through the workflow to get this ticket done as I go. So yeah, yay Service Desk. You can use this for any team. It's fantastic. And the pricing model of Jira is such that the people that fulfill the requests, the agents, they cost a little more than normal Jira users, but the customers, the people that submit tickets, they are totally free. You can have an unlimited number of free customers. Oh, by the way, all of those knowledge base articles that were getting served up, those live over in Confluence. They are written, edited, and housed in Confluence, and then just connected to that service desk. I hope you can tell I like this stuff. I think it's really cool. Let's talk about centralized knowledge. So now we're going to pivot and focus on Confluence. So teams often have a problem of, where do I find information? Is that information up to date? And the solution is a central organized portal for knowledge for your teams. And we're going to do this in Confluence. This is the last demo today. Excuse me. So let's take a look at, again, back in Confluence, not Jira, but Confluence, our documentation tool. I've landed here in what's called the marketing space. We were here earlier looking at our project dashboard and at our various projects. But this time, we're going to look at a team homepage. Now, this space is controlled by the marketing department, and one space contains many, many pages, and we can organize those pages and customize them as we want. So here is an example of an internal team homepage. We've got information about marketing. We've got all of the latest updates in this marketing space. We've got contact information. We've got team information here, who's on our team. We've got another calendar. And then my favorite part about this is all of these frequently used resources. So I've got a link back to Google Drive where my mid-sized company stores files. And this drops me into our brochures folder or our logos folder or our swag folder. I've got a special document that has, well, you can see by the hyperlink it's not, but I can point to a Google document that has account passwords. And now I'm relying on Google Docs security to make sure people have access to that sheet, not Confluence. I can also link to current ad pricing, trademark guidelines, or other internal company resources like benefits, workplace experience, coaching, and mentoring. So this makes onboarding people in my department really easy. Just go to the homepage. Everything you need in our department is right there. And sure, it's no problem if another department lands on my homepage. They can learn about my department. They could click on account passwords. They're not going to get into that file, but there it is. Some other cool things. So we saw our project dashboard. We can also track meeting notes. So we can track meeting decisions. We can track all of our meeting notes going forward. I can make a new meeting note. We can track solution documentation. Interesting, that shouldn't be there. Anyway, I'll take a look at that later. But my favorite part about Confluence in the cloud, at least, is all of its integrations with other tools. So Miro is one of my favorite tools. It is an online whiteboarding tool. It's fantastic if you've never used it. And I've got a live Miro board here. And if I was logged in, I could actually edit everything on this board. I can zoom in, I can adjust things, I can drag things, I can comment on them. So live tools right there. I've also got an example of a live Trello board. Now, I don't know if you've used Trello, but Trello is a wonderful ad hoc project management tool that creates lists and cards on a board. And this is a live Trello board that I can move stuff in and out of. I can click on information and hop into each of these cards. I can see the checklist, the members, the labels, all of it. It is totally live here in Confluence. Lastly, there's also a nice integration with Google Docs. So if you don't like the way that Confluence does tables, no problem. You can drop a live spreadsheet into Confluence Cloud, and you can work on that spreadsheet from here as well. So all of this is to say that this isn't a replacement for your spreadsheets or your documents or your media files somewhere, but it's a really great way to do a centralized collection of that information and provide it to your teammates or your internal customers. Okay, let's see. All right, I'm going to hop back over. I'm going to do questions in a moment, but I've got some follow-up stuff to talk about first. So the first thing I want to say before we do questions, in case anybody has to go early, is thank you very much for attending. I hope that through these 5 demos, you got some ideas as to how to use this stuff for your teams. If you're feeling inspired, or if you're not, please feel free to contact me, brian.dar@xbeam.com, or you can stalk me on LinkedIn and message me there. I'm happy to talk about any of these solutions with you offline. If you're wondering how these tools could work for you, how to implement them, training, or if you just want to talk about them in general, this is a topic that I really enjoy. Also, we have a lot of other webinars coming up and classes. You can see most of these are free webinars. So today was Atlassian for business teams. We also have one on cloud migration. So like, let's see, Jira Server is going away, or I guess all Atlassian Server products are going away. They're pivoting to either data center or cloud. So if you have this in your company and you need to migrate to cloud, this is a great place to start to learn about what's involved in that if you're an administrator. We have an introduction to portfolio management. If you have any questions about higher level management within Jira. Also, we talk about Jira Align. We have something about governance, and we also have increasing ITIL and oh yeah, no, this is a special event that we're doing. We also have a Jira Service Management for ITSM and a Jira Service Management Fundamentals webinar too. So lots of stuff. Jira Bootcamp, Confluence Bootcamp. If you have any questions, please by all means drop me an email. I'm happy to get you set up with these. And with that, does anybody have any questions that I haven't answered already about any of these products? All right. Well, if there's no more questions, thank you all very much for your kind attention today. I hope you found this useful. Let me know if you did or didn't. We'll be sending an email with a copy of this video afterwards. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day.